about the new segment that's going to be on my channel, and it's called Read With Me. And that's when I will pick a book. Right now it's Someday by David Levithan, and I will share what my thoughts are and what's going on with the book as I'm reading it. So buckle up. We're going to get into this amazing book. How do I know it's amazing? Because a long time ago I read the first one. It was called Everyday, and I'm told that someday you can read on its own and that you don't have to have read the first book. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to talk about the first 3 little chapters. First off, the chapters are very small, so I will cover like 3 to 4 at a time anytime I give updates. And the first one is called Rhiannon. Rhiannon. It's called Rhiannon. So Rhiannon is a girl, and it starts off with her at home, and the doorbell keeps ringing, or there's a knock at the door, and every time she thinks it's this guy, A. Well, it doesn't say it's a guy. I guess A could be a girl. It just says that she misses A, and that they've been separated for like a month, and she should be over it by now. But every time the bell rings, then she gets like all anxious and those feelings inside her stomach. So at this point, I'm thinking, wow, a love story, like typical teenage love story. I'm not sure exactly that that's what I want to be reading, but I trust David Levithan, so I'm going to leave it at that. The next chapter is called Nathan. Now these chapters are really tiny, which is exactly how I like to read. I like to read chapters really quick. It makes me feel like I'm reading a lot. So Nathan is actually the guy that's ringing the doorbell on Rhiannon. And his story is really interesting because he got taken home by the police for being drunk and asleep on the side of the road. Now just imagine what would happen if you woke up in a ditch and the police took you to your parents and said, oh, you were out drinking and that you got so drunk you passed out on the side of the road. Well, Nathan swears that he never, ever drinks, okay? What he pieces together after some time, and this isn't told in the chapter how he does this exactly, but he pieces together that somebody else actually took over his body. Somebody took over his body for 24 hours, and then that entity left, and he wakes up on the side of the road. One person that you meet during this chapter is Reverend Poole, and Reverend Poole basically tells Nathan that he's been possessed by the devil, and that this has happened to people all over the world where they have these little mini possessions and the spirit leaves. However, Nathan's not really sure if he believes that. The only clue that he knows, he can't remember anything from that 24 hours where he's blacked out, except for this name, Rhiannon. And he looks up, and there's 3 Rhiannons within a 50-mile radius, and I think that's really strange because I had never heard that name before. So the fact that within 50 miles there was 3, I'm not finding Levithan really credible on that, but maybe it's a really popular name in parts of the United States, I don't know. Anyway, he finds this Rhiannon, and he goes to her door to tell the story of what's happened to him. Rhiannon says, I know what happened to you. I can explain it to you, but you're never going to believe me. All right, so at this point, I'm really hooked already. There's conflict, there's possible possession, there's a girl in love with somebody, and a stranger shows up at her door, and she doesn't seem surprised. There is a guy that was possessed potentially by an entity or the devil. There's this strange Reverend Poole that's very mysterious. The next chapter is called X. Now, let me just read you the first sentence of this chapter. To stay in a body, you must take that body over. Okay, so here we have the perspective of someone or something that can inhabit other people's bodies. It gets a little bit more disturbing when we find out that X is sitting next to a dead body, and X is looking at this dead body. That dead body is Reverend Poole. Yes, the one and the same. So this X took over that body and apparently somehow killed Reverend X. That means that this entity was in Reverend Poole's body when he talked to Nathan. This entity is the one that told Nathan the body had been taken over by the devil. This X character is in a young body. X really likes being in a young body because, of course, you're more attractive, you're more physically fit. Just imagine if I could just jump into a younger body right now, would I do it? No. You probably won't believe me, but actually, I would not do it. Oh my god, the book is so good. I don't want to do anything else today except for read this book. So the next 2 chapters are from A. And remember, that's who Rhiannon is in love with, this A character. So A, the first chapter is called Day 6076, or that's the second chapter. And the first chapter is called Day 6065. So there's missing days in between there. In the first day, A is actually inside a girl's body named Danielle. And her family and friends have noticed that she's kind of out of it, and Danielle isn't acting like herself, and that's because she's actually not herself. A has inhabited Danielle's body. So A doesn't know why or what A actually is, but all that A knows is that it ends up in a different body every single day. It's only for 24 hours. And that A can access some of the person's memories after being in the body for a while, but not all of them. Sometimes A can remember names of people that he's talking to. Like if you have a best friend, then this entity will know that that's your best friend if they had taken over your body. So it's really confusing. But A is talking about how, while A's in Danielle's body, it's talking about how this life never really bothered A because it was a different person each day, but now A actually is struggling because A is in love with Rhiannon. So somehow this entity has fallen in love with the girl, and we know from the very first chapter that Rhiannon is in love with this entity. Now, in the next chapter, A is in the body of Marcos, and he wakes up to this honking sound, and he has to run outside, and then his friend Manny is yelling at Marcos. It's like, come on, do you have the money? And then he goes back up and he has this like bag of cash. And he's sitting next to Manny and he has no idea, like, where are they going with this bag of cash? And you know, if you're like me, you're thinking they're gonna go buy drugs. I know that that's what you're thinking because that's what I was thinking. This is like no good. They're gonna go buy drugs. They're gonna go buy guns or something. I don't know, something horrible. I watched too much crime TV. But actually, that's not what's happening. They are actually they're in high school, but they're not in school. And they are going to get tattoos. And Marcos, well, A, who is in Marcos's body, is feeling really badly because he doesn't know, or it doesn't know, A doesn't know what Marcos would want as a tattoo. But A has to get this on his body, on Marcus's body, because Manny and him have been planning this for a very long time. And so A's feeling this pressure, like, I don't want to ruin this guy's life with a tattoo that is going to be with him forever. And it's just kind of funny because A has all these feelings of empathy towards the people, and I can just see some of you, and I just know that some people, they'd be like, oh, I don't care, and they'd get like the most absurd tattoo. And you know, if it was me, if I was in somebody else's body, that I'd be getting like cat tattoos all over their body, and that would be amazing. So A feels this remorse and really wants to pick the right tattoo, and that's in juxtaposition with X, who we met, that doesn't feel any remorse and actually kills the people whose body that it inhabits. It's really interesting that Levithan is going into this really kind of dark novel. The last one wasn't this dark because people didn't die, but in this one we're getting more of the story, and the fact that X kills people, it's just really interesting to find that in a YA novel where the person's not dying of cancer or anything like that. So I'm so excited to read what happens next. Levithan wrote this, and this is the side copy. Let me show you first the inside cover, so you kind of get this feeling that it's like a little bit dark. And then let's look at his signature. Now, can you tell that that says David Levithan? And who puts a smiley face in it? Whatever. He's an amazing writer. It doesn't really matter because he's an amazing writer.